Hey guys, and welcome back. Great to have you here today. I'm going to give you one of the simplest videos that's going to help your game the most. One of the best drills I've ever found to get rid of those weak shots to the right. If you're hitting a slice, if you're hitting a fade, and it's not to have a lot of power on it, it's just kind of leaking into the right rough. If we're playing this hole, maybe it leaks over into the water here or in this bunker. You constantly find yourself in trouble. Maybe you feel like you're not hitting the ball that solid. You want some more compression, some more forward shaft lean to really kind of smush that ball against the face and to feel like it's really compressed. I've got a very simple thing for you to focus on today that I've seen huge results in students with, and it really helps you to improve in a very quick manner. Before we get to that, I want to congratulate Brooks Koepka. First U.S. Open, first major win, won at the U.S. Open, almost set the scoring record, tied for the lowest tournament score at I believe 16 under, and really just played some great golf. So he's got a very nice swing, and we're going to talk about this one move that can really turn around your game in a hurry. So we'll get to that and really simplify things. Now the cool thing about this is you don't have to be big and tall, you don't have to be flexible, you don't have to be young, you don't have to do anything. This is literally going to work for anybody that applies this. And what we're talking about here is what we call the move in the top speed golf system. So we're not only shallowing that club out, but we're squaring the face up. And today I want to particularly talk about squaring that face up to the ball very early. So we'll notice if we kind of pause his swing before he gets to the top of the backswing, notice how that left wrist is pretty flat and the club is kind of in a neutral position. But as he starts down right here, notice how he really starts to bow that left wrist. He starts to angle back this right wrist. And what that's going to do, and we'll show it from a couple different angles here in a minute, but that's going to, although you can't see the club face very clearly here, that's got that club face pointing more to the ball. So that's squaring up the club face to the ball very early. And you do this by rotating your wrist downward, and that's what we call the tennis racket drill. So everything is rotating this way with your hands. If you can imagine the butt end of the club as a clock face, you're twisting the butt end of the club to square up this face early. Now the great thing about this is when you square up the face early, now you don't have to square it up late. As things get moving faster and faster in the downswing, we don't have to rely on that last second timing to square the club face up. Now that's not to say that every single pro needs to do it exactly the same way, or every single pro does do it this exact same way. That's not even to say that every single golfer needs to do it this way, but I'm just saying that this is a whole heck of a lot easier if you find yourself struggling with weak shots to the right, if you're hitting a slice, if you'd like to have that nice penetrating draw. This is the easiest, quickest way to do it. And I've found a lot of good results with that. So that's, again, you can imagine, we'll go over in the tennis racket drill later, but that's turning that, if you had a tennis racket in your hands, you're turning the strings down to the ground where they're facing the ball there. Now let's go ahead and pull up a different video with an iron, because this not only works with driver, it also works with irons. All right, so here let's take a look with an iron. We're going to see the exact same thing. So again, as he's coming back to the top, we'll notice that left wrist is flat. As he's starting down, and this is the key, early in the transition, that's when those wrists start to twist this way. That's when you start to square up the club face early. So if we look at it down as he's coming down to here, look at the club face now. Look how that club face is already starting to square up to the ball. So even though he's halfway into the downswing, we got this club face where it is pointing more down to the ball. It's not going to be perfect. I know in reality it's pointed out here. There will be some rotation in there. But what I see with players that are struggling, that face is pointing up here somewhere. It's wide open, and they're relying on that last second timing to square up the face. So this takes away that timing. It squares up the face earlier. And again, what you're going to feel like you're doing, and what you can see very clearly here with his hands, is you're going to feel like you're turning these wrists down. Look at that left wrist, how it's bowed. You're turning the right wrist to where it's down. You're going to feel like your knuckles are kind of dragging against the ground. You're going to feel like the club face is pointing straight down to the ball at this point in the swing, in the downswing, and that's going to square things up earlier. What you'll find is immediately that's going to lower your ball flight. It's going to feel a lot more solid. It's going to feel like it compresses the ball a bit more, and you're going to get rid of that fade or that slice that you may be struggling with. So that's the easiest drill, probably the best one out there to really start to improve that type of contact, getting good contact right away. And you see it with Dustin Johnson, you see it with Brooks Koepka, you see it with Rahm, you see it with a lot of different players. And like I said before, the great thing about this is you don't have to be big and strong. Even though he's a big, strong guy, you don't have to have any strength at all just to twist these hands down a little bit, just to square that face up a little bit earlier. That's very easy to do. You know, you could be, I could have players that are in their 80s or 90s do that. I could have players that are in their teenage, years do that, and all of them are going to start to compress the ball a little bit better if they're struggling with that kind of weaker shot out to the right. All right, so for those of you guys that are joining us on YouTube, I got a great bonus for you. Now, in video 1.3 in the move, we take this a step farther where I give you another drill. It gives you a great way to feel this with the tennis racket. And I'm going to play a preview of that video here in a second. What you're going to want to do is click the iCard somewhere on your screen, or you can click the description down below. There's a link in there, and you can get instant access to that video, try out that drill, go out to the range today, and you guys are going to start compressing the golf ball. So have a lot of fun out there. Congratulations to Brooks Koepka. Go out there and just really compress it this week, and we'll see you later.
Good player problems. We're going to talk about shallowing that club shaft out as we're starting down, as we're doing this rotating of the face that we worked on in the last video. As we start this downswing, what you'll see with basically all of the top players is instead of coming kind of over the top and letting the hands come out away from their body, letting the club come out away from their body, again coming down steep into the ball and then having to open up, kind of fillet open the face and add loft to it. The flattening of the shaft should happen as soon as we start down. So as we start this downswing, what we want to have happening here, you can imagine that if I draw a line from the hosel of my club up through my right elbow, that's my swing plane line, my elbow plane. As I go to the top of the swing, I'm going to be slightly above that. And then as I start down, I want my hands to start to shallow out. I want the club to shallow out inside of this elbow plane. And at the same time,